Baby Dyls and the Pirates. Captain Jim and First Mate Kim lived aboard the Jolly Roger and sailed the high seas looking for treasure. One day, First Mate Kim spotted a sinking ship on the horizon. "Shiver my timbers," said Captain Jim. "Let's go and see if there's any gold nuggets in that scurvy boat." So they sailed the Jolly Roger over to the sinking ship. They put down their anchor, climbed aboard, and began to search for treasure. "Oor," said Captain Jim, "there'll be a treasure chest by there." They opened the chest, and inside was a little baby. He smiled his baby smile at First Mate Kim and Captain Jim. He was all alone. There were no other survivors on the ship. They picked him up, wrapped him in a soft blanket, and took him aboard the Jolly Roger. On the Jolly Roger, Captain Jim and First Mate Kim fed Dyls when he was hungry, changed his nappy when it was wet, cuddled him until he fell asleep. They smiled, laughed, and played with Dyls when he was awake. When he was cold, they warmed him up. When he was hot, they cooled him down. Captain Jim and First Mate Kim loved Dyls. Dyls couldn't remember his tummy mummy and daddy. He thought that Captain Jim and First Mate Kim were his parents. Dyls couldn't speak yet, so Captain Jim and First Mate Kim couldn't explain to him how they'd found him. The trouble was that pirates aren't very good at being pirates with a baby on board. That's why you never see babies in pirate stories. Captain Jim was so busy playing with Dyls that he didn't check his treasure map and they got lost. First Mate Kim was so busy making Dyls food that she forgot to look out for sharks, and the sharks bit off the anchor. Captain Jim was so busy rocking Dyls to sleep that another pirate ship, the Black Pearl, raced ahead and got to the treasure island first. First Mate Kim was so busy changing nappies that she forgot to remind Captain Jim to go to the harbour, and they were caught in a scary storm. Captain Jim and First Mate Kim were thinking long and hard. "Ooh, me cap'n," said First Mate Kim, "I don't think pirates make the best parents." "Urr," said Captain Jim, "'twill only get worse when he learns to work. How will we keep him safe from sharks and falling into the sea then? We need to find this here Dyls some landlubbers who can be proper parents." First Mate Kim agreed. Though they would always love Dyls, they knew he needed parents who could be there for him always and weren't distracted. So Captain Jim sailed the seven seas, and First Mate Kim looked through her spyglass to find parents who could be everything Dyls needed. Kind, loving, generous, good at listening, funny, good at cuddling and telling stories, good at understanding, and most of all with plenty of time for a boy like Dyls. It took them a really long time because they needed parents who were just right, and eventually they found Farmer Bill and Jill, who were just right to be the mummy and daddy Dyls needed. They lived on a farm near the sea and they loved babies. Farmer Bill and his wife Jill were delighted to have a little baby boy to look after. They loved him and had lots of time for him. They were able to be his forever family. Captain Jim and First Mate Kim said goodbye because babies need parents, not pirates. Dyls was so tiny he hadn't learned to talk yet, so he couldn't understand that babies need parents, not pirates, or why he wasn't staying with Captain Jim and First Mate Kim. He grew to love Bill and Jill, but he felt sad that the people he thought were his parents weren't there anymore, and he didn't know why. Bill and Jill became the most wonderful mummy and daddy to Dyls. He loved them so much, and they had good fun times. Dyls was too little to talk, so he couldn't explain the sadness and confusion he felt sometimes. It made a little blue patch in his heart. Luckily, Jill and Bill were understanding and thinking parents. They understood that Dyls was sad and cuddled him when the blue patch appeared. As Dyls grew up, Captain Jim and First Mate Kim visited whenever the Jolly Roger sailed past. They remained good friends with Dyls and Farmer Bill and Jill. Sometimes they even brought treasure. Dyls wanted to live with Bill and Jill, but he was still confused about why he'd not stayed with Captain Jim and First Mate Kim. Every time they left, the blue patch would show up for a bit. Sometimes it showed up when Dyls felt sad about other things, like if friends were mean. Dyls didn't understand the blue patch. All he could do was show it to his mummy and daddy, who would cuddle him until it shrunk again. One day, Bill and Jill realised Dyls was big enough now to understand how the blue patch got there. They knew that if he understood it, it couldn't hurt him so much. Dyls' mummy and daddy explained how Captain Jim and First Mate Kim had rescued him from a sinking ship. How, because they were kind, Jim and Kim had done all the things that parents normally do, taking care of Dyls until parents could be found. They explained that Captain Jim and First Mate Kim couldn't be parents for Dyls because they were pirates, and babies don't need pirates, they need parents. They explained how Dyls had probably thought the pirates who did all the parent stuff were his parents. Of course he did, who wouldn't? And was very sad when they sailed away, and very confused, and a blue patch had appeared in his heart. Bill and Jill explained to Dyls that it was really hard for a baby to leave the people he thought were his parents, and that he'll always love Captain Jim and First Mate Kim, and that's okay. They decided to make something to recognise what an important part Captain Jim and First Mate Kim had played in his early life. Dyls' mummy and daddy helped Dyls to make a memory jar using different coloured gems to remember all the good things that Captain Jim and First Mate Kim had done for him. After that, Dyls got the memory jar out whenever he wanted to remember the pirates that did all the parent jobs when he was tiny. And you know what? Now he understood it, Dyls found the blue patch in his heart became less and less blue. Sometimes he even thinks about Captain Jim and First Mate Kim and smiles rather than feeling blue. And you'll never guess what. As he grew, Farmer Bill taught Dyls to sail. And that means when he grows up, if he wants to, maybe he'll be a pirate too. The end.